Okay, so picture this. A dark orchard, middle of the night.
Yeah, it's heavy, silent.
Right, except for, the sound of shovels, frantic digging.
And it's a group of young adults, clearly panicked.
Determined, though. Pouring this thick cement mix into a hole they just dug.
Horrifying. You see a hand, an arm, then a face disappearing into that sludge.
A 15-year-old girl's face.
Hmm.
Held captive, tortured for weeks. And they think they've buried the secret.
But they haven't. That's the thing, isn't it? History, especially the really dark parts, it echoes.
Today, we're plunging into two incredibly unsettling true crime cases. Really eerily similar in the systematic torture, the murder, all by teenagers.
And what's so striking is they're separated by 26 years. Different countries, Japan and South Korea.
Yeah.
No direct link.
No connection at all.
So our mission today really is to unpack the chilling details. We need to dissect the parallels, these profound parallels, in how these horrific events unfolded.
Right, from how they were captured.
Exactly. The manipulation, the captivity itself, that unimaginable hell, the shocking failure of anyone to step in.
Yeah, the lack of intervention.
And then the outcomes, often frustrating outcomes for the victims and, well, the perpetrators. It's like this pattern of cruelty just repeating itself independently.
Decades apart, it's deeply disturbing. And our source material today, it comes from a deep dive into a YouTube video transcript.
Right, from the channel Rotten Mango.
It's titled Korean Version of Junko Furuta, Case 26 Days of Torture Essay, Then Sealed in Concrete.
And we absolutely need to give a heads up here, a crucial note before we go any further.
Yes, definitely. This deep dive, it contains heavy descriptions. We're talking sexual trafficking, sexual assault, child sexual abuse, and just graphic physical and psychological torture.
So listener discretion is strongly, strongly advised. This is very difficult material.
Okay, let's start with how these victims were drawn in. How did it begin? For Junko Furuta, Japan, 1988.
Yeah, she was 17.
Riding her bike home. And it starts almost randomly, right? A 15-year-old boy kicks her bike, she falls.
Just senseless aggression. But
Then
then
an 18-year-old shows up, a friend of the first boy. He acts like the hero.
offers help, calls the first kid a pervert, offers to walk her home even. The protector.
But it was all planned, a setup. This supposed kindness, it was just grooming, an insidious tactic.
And as they walk, his whole demeanor changes. Claims he's Yakuza, drags her into an abandoned warehouse.
And that's it. The horror starts right there.
It's terrifying how easily that trust, that moment of vulnerability can be twisted.
Yeah.
Why do victims fall for this?
It's a tough question. And look at Yuna's case, South Korea, 2014. She's 15.
It was her online boyfriend, Kim. He was 24.
24. And Yuna was, well, she was incredibly vulnerable.
Definitely. Difficult home life, parents divorced, relentless bullying at a new school. She was isolated.
So Kim offers comfort online, escape, fun, builds that trust.
Carefully cultivates it.
Yeah.
Then convinces her to meet him in person.
Which leads her to this shady motel room packed with 7 other people.
The so-called runaway family. It just shows how predators actively seek out those vulnerabilities, those emotional voids,
Offering a false sense of belonging, of safety.
while masking the absolute worst intentions, exploiting trust and desperation.
So stepping back, what does this tell you? Both cases, they just highlight how fast vulnerability can be targeted.
Yeah, and how those initial acts, the ones that seem like help or comfort,
They can be the actual tools of manipulation, hiding something truly sinister. Okay, this is where it gets profoundly disturbing. The captivity itself, the systematic dehumanization, the torture, just escalating.
it happened so fast. In Yuna's case, almost immediately in that motel room.
They forced her to drink, right? Huge amounts of alcohol, soju.
And 2 bottles, and then immediately the humiliation, shoving her face into her own vomit.
Just instantly establishing dominance, making her their plaything, stripping her dignity.
Exactly. That immediate removal of autonomy, physically, psychologically, it's crucial for them. And then there's the calls home. Both Junko and Yuna were forced to call their parents.
Saying they'd run away, they were safe.
Yeah, a chillingly effective way to shut down any early police search. Junko told her parents to call off the search.
Even though they were confused, right? It wasn't like her.
Not at all. And Yuna, they actually sent her home after 2 weeks. Made her promise not to tell.
But her father knew. He saw her state, the smell.
That pervasive cigarette stench, her dissociation, he knew something was terribly wrong. But the damage was done, the initial searches stalled. Those calls isolated them completely.
The level of torture Junko endured, it's almost impossible to fully comprehend over 44 days.
44 days.
Gang rapes, At least 100 different men involved.
At least.
And the physical abuse, it was systematic, calculated, severe internal injuries from objects inserted into her, burns, shattered bones from dumbbells dropped on her.
They cut her Achilles tendons, lit her ankles on fire, stuck hundreds of needles in her chest.
She was starved, dehydrated, so weak she couldn't keep food or water down, just relentless systematic torment.
And you see that same terrifying escalation of cruelty with Yuna. Maybe even more twisted group dynamic element.
How so?
Well, beyond being forced into sex trafficking daily, meeting multiple clients 10, 12 hours a day.
Which is horrific enough.
Right, but the runaway family themselves tortured her constantly, slamming metal fan blades into her ribs, beating her with steel bug spray cans, furniture.
Karate chopping her neck, pouring boiling water on her.
Scalding hot water, yeah. They made her do 100 squats with fractured ribs, made her memorize multiplication charts, and beat her for mistakes.
It's like pain as entertainment.
Exactly.
Right.
A horrifying group sadism. And like Junko, Yuna was starved, dehydrated, incredibly injured, barely clinging to life.
Which brings us to this really difficult question. How did so many people know, or at least suspect, and do nothing?
The bystander effect in its most extreme form.
With Junko, over 100 people knew just from the assaults alone, but there were others. She was held in Shinji Minato's house.
With his parents and brother living there.
His mother tried to help once, apparently got beaten badly by her son for it.
And after that,
She just pretended Junko wasn't there anymore, said she'd gone home, prioritized the family's good name over saving a girl's life. Stop going upstairs.
it's just mind-boggling denial.
Yeah.
And selfishness. And that inaction, it's the common thread, isn't it? With Yuna, the motel staff, they saw young girls with older men, obvious injuries.
And said nothing, even as the group moved between motels, cities.
Nothing. And the police. The response was just shockingly inadequate in both cases.
Well, we mentioned the police actually went to Shinji's house for Junko.
Based on a tip about a human punching bag. And they just accepted the parents' denial.
Ignored an active missing persons report for Junko in that same area. It's unbelievable.
And for Yuna, when she vanished from church the second time, the police were slow. Didn't even check the church's CCTV until it was way too late. Systemic failures right there.
And what about the girls themselves? Did they try to get help?
They did. They showed incredible courage, really. But they were punished brutally for it.
Junko, she was so injured she could barely move. But she crawled downstairs.
Yeah. Managed to reach a phone, dial emergency services, the call connected.
Oh my God.
But right then, one of them caught her, hung up the phone, dragged her back upstairs.
Devastating. And Yuna.
She saw a laptop left open, quietly tried to type her password, get her location out on Facebook.
Too careful not to make a sound.
Logged in, went to hit send, and someone grabbed her hair, slammed her head back and at her throat, caught instantly.
And beaten severely for it. Both of them. Any hope extinguished.
The end.
Yeah.
The final acts of torture were just horrific, deeply personal somehow.
For Junko, she was down to 65 pounds. Barely conscious.
Barely able to breathe. See here. Brain shrunk, body shattered, unimaginable pain. And they forced her to play mahjong.
A game in that state.
And she won. She actually won against them.
And that enraged them.
Absolutely. They beat her with an iron barbell until she convulsed. Then, thinking she was faking, they poured lighter fluid all over her face, lit her on fire with a candle. She was still alive, flinching. Died 2 hours later. Burned alive.
God. And Yuna's final moments, equally chilling. She was delirious, high fever.
And they played another cruel game. Asked her who she'd take with her when she died.
What?
She named Lee, her main abuser. So they beat her with a brick.
Just for naming him.
Then asked again. She named someone else. They beat her with the brick again. Final, sadistic punishment, control to the very end.
And then, getting rid of the bodies, both groups, years apart, different countries. They had the same idea.
Make it disappear. Hide it in plain sight, almost. Conceal the evidence.
Junko's body put in a 55-gallon oil drum.
And filled completely with concrete, a solid block, to hide the extent of the injuries, make identification harder.
And Yuna, initially buried in an orchard.
Right, but then they got paranoid. Realized orchards get dug up. So they dug her up again.
Exhumed her.
Poured gasoline on her, especially her face, to make her unrecognizable, set her on fire. And then reburied her, covered her with this sludgy cement mixture. Very, very similar method to Junko's case, trying to deter discovery. And the arrests. It's another bizarre parallel. Both groups caught for entirely unrelated violent crimes.
So they didn't get caught for these murders initially.
No, Junko's captors were arrested for sexually assaulting another 19-year-old girl. It was during that interrogation.
Someone confessed.
One of them just confessed to Junko's murder out of the blue.
Wow. And Yuna's group?
Arrested for murdering a man named John Kim. They beat him to death over $3,500 after a planned sexual encounter went wrong, trying to extort him.
So their other violent acts led to them being caught for these horrific murders. Okay, let's talk about justice. Or maybe the lack of it. The outcomes here are stark and raise really hard questions.
Definitely. With Junko's killers, the charge itself was controversial, causing bodily injury resulting in death.
Not murder, despite everything.
Not murder, which felt incredibly lenient. And they were treated as juveniles, even the 18-year-olds.
Resulting in what kind of sentences?
Shockingly short. 5 to 20 years. That's it.
For that.
For that. All are free now. And some, horrifyingly, have reoffended. More crimes, including sexual assault, attempted murder.
That's chilling. What about their identities?
Initially protected by Japanese law because they were minors, but journalists leaked their names later.
Famously saying,
"They're not human, therefore they shall not receive human rights." A very strong statement reflecting public outrage. But the fact they reoffended, it speaks volumes. Now, contrast that slightly with Yuna's killers in Korea. They were charged with murder.
Okay, so that's different.
Yes, separate trials for the underage girls and the adult men. The girls got 6 to 9 years. The judge acknowledged they were also victims, in a way, under the men's influence.
And the men.
Sentences from 35 years to life for some. But Kim, the online boyfriend who lured Yuna,
The one who started it all, basically?
he only got 5 years, mostly for giving advice on disposing of the body, even though he knew he was luring underage girls into trafficking.
5 years. That's hard to swallow.
Extremely. And what's causing huge public anger now, echoing the Junko case, is that the adult male killers' identities are protected by Korean law.
So people don't know who they are.
No, leading to massive frustration, calls for harsher penalties, demanding their identities be revealed. Very similar public reaction.
And the lack of remorse? Is that another parallel?
Absolutely. Shocking lack of remorse from some perpetrators, even their families, blaming the victims. One of Junko's perpetrators' mothers actually vandalized Junko's grave. It's just adding profound insult to unimaginable injury.
So when you put it all together, the chilling similarities, the brutality, the failures of society, the controversial justice, what does it all mean?
It forces you to confront some really uncomfortable truths, doesn't it?
Yeah.
About human cruelty, group psychology, sadism.
And how our systems, our communities sometimes fail to protect the most vulnerable.
This deep dive, it really hammers home that terrifying idea of evil repeating itself, not through direct inspiration, but like a horrifying convergence.
Of what? Unchecked sadism.
Yeah, sadism, the devastating power of group mentality, mob rule almost.
And the systemic failures, the gaps in the safety net that allowed these horrors to go on for so long without anyone stopping them. Okay, let's leave our listeners with one final thought to mull over. If history, in these incredibly dark ways, really does repeat itself, what responsibility do we have as a society? Should the identities of perpetrators who commit such unspeakable acts, especially adults, be public knowledge?
It's a huge debate. Privacy versus public safety.
And how do we make sure the justice system actually works to protect us from the potential for reoffense when or if these individuals are released?
Big questions, no easy answers. Definitely something to think about.